There we go. This is what happens sometimes when you don't tick all the right boxes. Now you've got me back again. So, we're going to be talking to one of the entertainers, one of the acts that's going to be down at the musical festival in May. And my guest's name is.
Chris Russell.
Now, Chris, you are not doing a solo act. You are part of a band. So, tell me, what band are you going to be?
I am the hype man and the guitar player for Hype Club.
Club. That sounds really interesting because you think of the hype and different things, but that's not what you guys are. Tell me, what is your band all about?
Well, I mean, where do I start? So
Start at the very beginning,
I'll
young
start at the
man.
beginning, shall I? Since we've got the time. So the story of Hype Club is actually going back to the beginning. Is the story of a band called the Light Years. The Light Years is effectively the Hype Club is a new skin for the Light Years. It's the same six people, and it's a band that we started at school. So we actually, I remember the exact month we started the band. It was November 1994. And I know it was November because the first thing that the lead singer and I, George, did after we started the band was before we wrote any songs or did any gigs, we took a bottle of Ribena, an empty Ribena bottle, into the garden outside his bedroom and collected a month's worth of November rain because we were so obsessed with Guns N' Roses that we were like, this feels like a good way to start off our career. I mean, we were teenagers, and and that's how I know it started then, which is sort of 31 and a bit years ago. So we've been doing this for quite a long time, and it's essentially a school band that just kept going. And in the sort of intervening several decades, we've done a little bit of everything that you could think of in the music industry. So we've played everywhere from tiny clubs up to huge stadiums. We've played at Wembley Stadium. We've played Glastonbury Festival. We've been around the world performing together. We've been out to the USA, to Cape Town, Thailand, Korea.
Wow, you're giving me a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, well, feel
So,
free to unpack or interrupt
I
me.
am going to unpack you. I'm going to stop you for a second because of the fact there's so much that you just said in this last 30 seconds that I
Great.
want to dive into a little bit more. Okay, we're going to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Approximately, because I know bands kind of change over the years of how many members that they have in there.
Yes.
So, besides you, who else is in the band?
So effectively there are six members, although we are a five-piece band. Our sixth member is our sound engineer, who is such an important part of the whole setup that he we consider him to be a band member, although he's not on the stage, but he will be at Shamrocks. Um, and then we're a five-piece band. So George is the lead singer. I am the keyboard player, and then we have Jack on lead guitar. We have John on bass guitar. John being George's brother, so it's a bit of a family affair. And then our drummer Tony. And the six of us have been the Light Years for, as I say, some decades now. And a few years ago, we created this kind of alter ego, which we call Hype Club, um, which I'll come on to explain in a moment. But
We
yeah,
will
just to
talk
zip
about
back to
Hype
your
Club, yes.
yeah.
So, when was the first time you actually got onto a stage and got on a stage and performed such that they crossed your palms with silver? Because once you get the money, you're considered a
Yes.
professional. So, when did that happen?
That is a very good question, and I don't know the answer for sure. We probably got paid something at some point when we were doing school gigs. George and I. So initially, it was kind of a duo. It was myself and the singer George. We've been best friends all our lives, and we sort of added members as we went. So the first time we did a sort of what I would consider a professional gig was after we got together with our drummer Tony, and I think someone wanted us to play at the local golf club, and I remember specifically learning Brown Eyed Girl and My Girl and Great Balls of Fire for this gig. And that was in probably 2004. And that was definitely a paid gig, although we spent all of that money on, I think, a sound system. So it was all reinvested in. But I suppose you could say we've been professional, you know, give or take, for about 20 years.
You're saying spend your money as you do.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not like you're
you
thinking about
can't not
saving
spend
it.
money in the music industry. It just kind of pours out of your pockets.
Okay. Now, when you go out and you sing, do you write your own songs? Do you use mostly covered songs? Do you take songs that are already out there and kind of customize it with your own sounds? How do you do it?
Well, we over the years we've done a bit of all of that. So we started off writing our own songs, and for a lot of the early 2000s, we were sort of chasing the classic, pop star record deal dream. But come sort of 2007, 2008, when the industry started to kind of implode a little bit, we realized that we needed to turn the band into a real viable business to keep it going, because we knew we wanted to keep it going for as long as we could still stand up, but you need to, at the end of the day, you have to be turning over some kind of revenue. So that at that point we did start doing kind of private events, parties, weddings, corporates, and we then started shifting a bit away from playing our own songs and more towards playing a kind of straightforward party set of covers. The kind of thing that you expect an indie rock band to be playing. The Killers, the Kings of Leon, Queen, the Beatles, all that kind of stuff. And that was keeping us busy for most of the sort of 2010s. And what changed was when COVID hit, as everyone was, suddenly we were faced with this kind of empty landscape in front of us, and we'd been playing together for such a long time. We were kind of like, what are we going to do now? What do we do?
Hmm.
And I think also most of us turned 40 during lockdown, so it was kind of this like pivotal moment where we went, we're really proud of what we've built with the light years, but we want to still be doing this as we get older, and we don't want to just be those old guys playing Johnny Be Good in the corner of the pub. Like, what can we do while we're still young enough to kind of have our fingers on the pulse a little bit, but old enough to have the experience of having been in a band? And that's when we had that space during COVID, we said, look, can we maybe innovate a bit and do something that other bands aren't doing? And we
Hmm.
thought for a while about integrating a DJ into the show, and we spoke to a DJ friend of ours who we work with quite a bit, threw some ideas around, and what we eventually came up with was effectively not a band with a DJ in it, but a DJ set that's fronted by a live rock band. So that is what
Interesting.
became Hype Club. So rather than it being, Hype Club is not a covers band, not as you know it. It's not a tribute band, not quite as you know it. It is a DJ set, but it's fronted by a rock band. So you get the kind of relentless danceability of a DJ show, but with that spontaneous raw energy of live musicians. So it's kind of a crossover musical experience. We think of it as kind of Glastonbury meets Ibiza. It's the best of a live gig with the best of a sort of nightclub experience.
That's what I was thinking is that as you're describing how your band works, is that you probably knock the socks off of people, be an old term here, um, in the festivals and stuff, because that's where people really can get into the dancing and the kind of fun stuff like that. And but you also do private parties like weddings and that type of stuff like this
We do
occasionally.
well. I mean, the last sort of 10 years or so, private events have been our main focus and our main bread and butter, and that's kept us going. We built a good business, but what brought us here on the road to Shamrocks is that we we've kind of missed. We've played festivals here and there over the years, but I think a couple of years ago we did one or two in places where we were known locally, so that they sort of had a reason to book us. And we took the Hype Club show to that setting, and we were like, this is what Hype Club was designed for. Like, it works in a private event, but doing it at a festival is just a whole different ball game. The feedback you get from the crowd and that elation is just it's a completely different experience. And really, that is what it was designed for. It was designed to take a festival crowd, from kind of 0 to 100 as quickly as possible, and to whip everyone up into a frenzy. But the issue we had was that because we haven't done that many festivals, other than a few sort of local ones, we didn't really know anyone on the circuit particularly. And as you'll know, you have to on the festival circuit, people know each other, but if you're outside of that ring, unless you're kind of famous, it can be hard to sort of poke through. So we were lucky enough to come across to Clive on our travels. I'm sure you know Clive, and he said, "Look, I've been looking for something a bit different to kind of throw my weight behind, and we've been looking for someone who knows the circuit and can sort of introduce us to some people." So that was sort of a bit of a match made in heaven, and we worked together for a while on making sure that Hype Club was put together in a way that would appeal to people he knew, and then he made the introductions to the Shamrocks crew, and so that's how we've ended up here. And we're really excited about getting on that stage.
And I went to the Shamrocks last year, and believe me, I do not sing, but I do and definitely enjoy music. So I had a great time down there. So this is going to be your first year at the Shamrocks,
Yeah,
correct?
that's
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. So what other, okay, we're going to talk about more of the other things that you've been doing, but I'm
yeah,
just asking you right now
go for it.
is what else are you doing vet-wise this year? Because the Shamrocks is in May, approximately a month from today. So we're looking
Yeah,
at,
yeah.
yeah,
We are
it's like
staring down the
as we
barrel of
check
that
our
event.
calendars, yes, it is, because it's May 15th and today is, in April. So we're about a month away. So, what else do you have planned for the summer? Do you have more festivals? Because you said that you're interested in becoming more involved in the festival field.
Yes, and we were at Shine Fest in Guildford a couple of weeks after Shamrocks. Um, yeah, on the 30th of May. And I mean, around that, we're still doing our private events. They keep the business ticking over. Part of the for us, the purpose of doing these initial kind of festivals is to get our name out there a little bit. We recognize that, yeah, sure, we've been doing this a long time, but people don't know us on the festival circuit. And you have in music, you have to start somewhere. And so we wanted to just kind of get on a couple of stages, get our name out there, so that people know what Hype Club really is about and what it's like to be at a Hype Club show. And then hopefully from there, those feelers will move out. But it's all speculative, and you never quite know which path this industry is going to take you down. But we're really excited about being able to meet some more people in that kind of festival arena, and hopefully get some more gigs beyond that to mix in with our the private events we do, and the corporates and so
Well,
on.
of course, because when you get into the music field, it is who you know and different other people. You never can tell who will be able to give you that little help right there to
Exactly.
put you to the next level.
You never
And
know.
it's like Clive is a good person to know because he manages the Firefly and all this other kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
he's been in the industry for years. Saying that is, what type of genre of music do you, not your group, you prefer? What do you like playing?
That is a great question actually, because what I feel inclined to say actually, I hope this doesn't seem too glib or like I'm just advertising my band, but my gut instinct is to say EDM, which for anyone who doesn't know, it stands for electronic dance music, and it's basically Hype Club is in a sense a tribute to EDM and to club culture. It's not a
Hmm.
tribute band in that traditional sense of like you've got
You're
the Red
not
Hot
trying to be
Chili.
like Lady Gaga and stuff like
No,
this. I
exactly.
told you to say it, yeah.
Yes,
But
it's
you're more of
more
a
of what we
genre.
consider a
Yeah.
concept show. So it's a tribute to the genre of EDM, and I think because we've been delving into that style of music since we've been developing Hype Club, it's just by nature of being of having my headspace in that sort of music. I find that that's the kind of thing that I'm drawn to at the moment. Our original music is kind of sort of melodic pop rock. So think, I don't know. Obviously, you're American, so you may have you heard of the Feeling? They're sort of the Feeling and Scouting for Girls, and those kind of they're like mid 2000s kind of melodic,
Okay.
sort of in the tradition of kind of 10cc and going back further, I suppose, like Queen and the Beatles and
Okay.
the
We're going to
Eagles.
put this a little bit because if you're watching us on XPTV3, you can
Yeah,
see the picture of Chris and myself. Now, let me tell you the little bit of the age difference here. Chris is a new dad with a newborn. Okay? Yes. I'm 70 years old. However, I also went to the original um, rock concert with that they had in New York, which some few people heard about. And it was in the 1960s with Jimi Hendrix and that type of stuff like this. So I'm
That
the
small
old
concert,
fashioned
yeah,
rock and roll type person
yeah,
there, right?
excellent.
So,
How was
yeah,
that? I
it
mean,
was
how
awesome.
it was,
Keep in
but
mind, I was 16 years old.
amazing.
So it was like, yeah. And the ironic part about it, I was telling somebody about it later, 25 years later, my daughter went to it. So there we go.
Yeah,
You know,
there was the one they did it again in the 90s, didn't they? And it was a complete disaster.
no, it was completely different because when I went, it was granted there was a lot of rain. What happens at the best of festivals? Just
Yeah, oh,
go to ask
especially in
anybody.
okay,
But
yeah,
it was like nobody expected it to be as big as it was,
yeah,
right? And when my daughter went 25 years later, they had ATM machines there, and
yeah,
vegan food.
yeah,
And people that went to it was expecting it what it was like back in the 60s, and
yeah,
of course it wasn't.
yeah,
So when you go with that high expectation, because this is what we want to do, you know and it wasn't. Woodstock was just such a festival that the first time you go to this type of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a formative experience to have at the age of 16. It's sort of hard to top that, really. I would
And you know
imagine.
what? You didn't know what you were experiencing it till
Yeah,
after you look back at an age. But we're not talking about me. I'm just
yeah,
talking about the age difference between us, between the different types of music. So I do follow music and I do try
yeah,
to keep up there. My son-in-law is in a regional band in the United States, and
right.
he goes and does his thing with his band and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of stuff that I hear. So some of the things you're telling me is new to me,
Yeah,
which I am looking forward to hearing when I
right.
go down to Shamrocks.
Excellent.
But it's nice that you like all kinds of different genres.
Yeah.
Okay, getting to ask you a question now. I'm done talking. I've talked way too much. Please tell me, how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website? What's your social media handle? How can people get a hold of you and listen to your music?
Yes, so our website is thisishypeclub.com, and we have a kind of nascent social media. We have an Instagram feed, which we started only recently because I say the band is actually a relatively new thing. But if you go to instagram.com/, this is hype club, so it's the same address, this is hype club, you can find us on Insta. And we, because of the kind of music that we have been making, where we combine live music with sort of DJ samples. As things currently stand, we don't have the mixes that we create on the internet because of for copyright reasons. But we are in the process of creating copyright-free versions of our mixes. When I say mixes, we don't work song by song. We work in blocks of songs, like a DJ would, and we call them mixes or blocks. And we've realized, as we move down this kind of process, that part of what we need to do is create versions of these mixes that we can actually play to people legally on the internet. So we're in the process of putting those together, but it's quite a time-consuming thing. But once we do, those will go up on Spotify, and we'll start using that on social media, and we'll be able to communicate much better what it is that we do. Because up until now, you kind of needed to see us live, really, to fully understand. Because, like I say, I appreciate it's kind of a newish concept, and at the moment, it's a little tricky to experience it unless you see us, which is why you should come to Shamrocks, all you folks out there. Um, One of the many reasons you should come to Shamrocks. Uh, but yes, this is hypeclub.com, and this is Hype Club on Instagram is where you can find us.
Okay. Spell the name of your club. One thing, or your band, because one thing is you speak a little bit too rapidly, and we want people to get the full effect of you. So spell.
So
How do you spell it?
this is Hype Club. So that's hype as in HYPE club.com.
Perfect. Now, you take different feels and different techniques from bands that you kind of influence what you do when you're up there on stage. So I asked you for a couple of songs that we're going to play, which I'm going to be putting on shortly. And one of them was Fat Boy Slim. Now, why do you particularly like listening to this music?
So Fatboy Slim he's obviously one of the possibly the original superstar DJ. I think if you ask certainly people of my generation, to name a superstar DJ, they may well say Fatboy Slim. He kind of pioneered a lot of um, the sort of the way that a DJ, previously DJs were sort of behind decks and people didn't really know who they were. And in the 90s, he kind of came out of nowhere and was originally a musician, a bass player in a band called the House Martins, and who were very successful in their own right. But then he became this DJ, and he kind of changed the whole definition of really what a DJ is. And everybody knew, and he's still going. Everybody knew who he was. And he started to connect the kind of club and rave scenes with the more mainstream music scene. That was something that really began to happen in the 90s. And for that reason, you could almost argue he's kind of one of the OGs, one of the original gangsters of the sort of the type of music that eventually gave rise to Hype Club. And actually in the set, one of our mixes is a bit of an ode to the 90s rave scene that includes quite a bit of Fatboy Slim, including the song.
Here we're going to be listening to a little bit. This is this song, Praise You. And we'll come back and talk after this song.
We've come a long, long way together, through the hard times and the good. I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should. like I should.
Seriously, I haven't heard that song in a while, but it's so nice to listen to it again.
Banger, it's a banger.
Well, we have been talking about you doing a lot of things with the band and various people there. So you talked about going to different places besides being in the United States. Or not in the United States, sorry. I forget which country I'm in. Sorry. No, besides being in the UK. So where else have you traveled? Now, I'm assuming you've been Ireland, Scotland, around there, or not yet.
Yes, I mean, yes, we played once it was a music magazine launch party in a whiskey factory, a whiskey distillery in Dublin, and it was the messiest night I've. It was all these music journalists and unlimited whiskey. It was extraordinary. And we've done loads. We've done Scotland. We've played in abandoned castles. We've done all of that. But we've been lucky enough to go further afield quite a few times as well. And in fact, the States, we've done sort of 4 or 5 tours to America, but all mostly around the kind of East Coast, New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and always just, people so welcoming, and also being British just gets you so far out there. It's so much easier than it is over here.
I so understand. When I went to the United States a few years ago, took my British girlfriend, and the different places we went to, because I'm from upper state New York, near
Yeah,
Niagara Falls and things.
yeah.
Any place we went to, as soon as she opened her mouth, we didn't have to worry about buying drinks for the rest of the night. They love that British accent.
So, and also the combination of being British and being musicians who sing in harmony like the Beatles. I mean, it was, all the kind of PR wrote itself. All things that no one cares about over here because we're just another band. But so we've had really lovely time in America. We played Astoria Park once as part of their kind of summer concert series, and
Mhm.
the sun was setting over the Hudson, and you don't get this in the same way in the UK, but in America you have these concert series where just thousands of people just sort of turn up every week to see whatever's on, and it was a really welcoming experience. And we love playing in America. Um, and I think we did a sort of 5 or 6 trips out to Cape Town in South Africa, which is just, I mean, I don't know if you know that part of the world, but Cape Town's incredible. We did this the event was a sort of a rugby tournament that turned into a music festival. So you had sort of, you know, 12,000 rugby guys and their girlfriends who had been drinking all day, and then we came on stage, and that was something else. Just being able to see these parts of the world, but traveling with my best mates and playing music is it's kind of that's the secret of life in many ways. I mean, I think we always take a bit of a moment when we get on the plane anywhere to go. The music industry is tough, but we're lucky. This part of it we love, and we're lucky to do it.
Now, when you're traveling, there's so many places in the world. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you had a choice, any place, any arena to play, where would you like to play?
Great question. Where haven't we been? We have we've been out to Korea, which we loved, but never to Japan. And I think we hoped when we were spending time in Korea that it would lead to someone saying, "Hey, come and play in Tokyo," but it never did, and I never managed to quite make it out to Japan. But we had such a ball in Seoul, which is Korea's capital, and you know that part of the world. Since we spent a lot of time in Seoul, actually, Korean culture has come over
Oh,
here
yeah.
in a big way. So to go back to that part of the world and see Korea now, and to go and play in Japan, I think would be amazing. But nothing on the horizon at the moment from Tokyo. But if you're out there and you're listening and you want a British band, we are up for that.
Well, we're here at XPTV3, which is what we're on, that if you want to watch it, and Spectrum on Air radio station. Plus, we're on Amazon TV stick, so Fire Stick. So somebody somewhere,
Who
someplace,
knows?
may be hearing this. So we'll let them know you're available. And hey, can't remember what the name of your fantastic band is? Contact me. Be more than happy to put you in touch. You never can tell. We were
Well,
talking about that is we'd like to be in our field and we'd like to advance to the next level.
yeah.
And you never know where you're going to get that next little assistance from.
So many of the best things that have happened to us over the years are from a series of coincidences. You you can't make your own luck, but you can make yourself available to the gods of luck by just getting out there and not giving up. And eventually someone will talk to someone else and something will happen. Almost everything that we've done that we're really proud of has been a series of sort of winding but linked events. And music is a game where you just have to stay in it if you possibly can, by the skin of your teeth. And it helps for us. It helps that we've got this. We're best mates. We've known each other forever, so we've got each other's back. And it's up and down. The industry is up and
You guys
down.
have been in the music field for about like 20 years, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the band itself technically has been going for over 3 decades, but as professionals, we've
Mhm.
been working fairly solidly for sort of 20 years. So we've seen a little bit of everything, and we've seen the industry change. And really, Hype Club is a response to that. It's going, we we're at an age where we cut our teeth on the live scene back before the internet, before social media, where if you wanted to be a band, you had to perform live. You couldn't be a band from your bedroom like you can now. So we have that sort of analog, like childhood in a way. Like we cut our teeth as a live band, but we're now really interested in where music is going and where AI is taking music and where club culture has kind of merged with gym culture and all this sort of the ways that music is changing. And we're hoping to use Hype Club as a way to kind of bridge the gap between great live music and great sort of synth club DJ style music, and to meet those in the middle. Um, so that's kind of our aim with Hype Club, is to sort of, like I say, take Glastonbury and take Ibiza and shove them together and see what happens.
It's interesting that you're mentioning about AI because a lot of people are really afraid of talking about that AI is going to take over creativity of music, writing, and other things like this.
Yeah.
And I don't see it that way. I see it more of an assistance. Will it take over the world? Who knows? But the fact is at this moment, it's a great tool. Not that, okay, we mentioned a little bit earlier, I write books, that's a big deal. But the fact is people go, well, how much does AI write your books? It doesn't make any difference. The creativity comes from the mind,
Yeah.
not AI, not a computer. It
Yeah.
may help me rephrase a word or two, But that's what I feel about music and AI. You're never going to get AI to create the feel, the heart, the soul of music.
That's so true. I'm actually a novelist as well, and I think about AI a lot. And you're absolutely right. AI is an incredible editor, but it is not a good original thinker. And so if you know how to use it, then you know it can be a great tool. I think in music, for us, because we're much more focused now on the live scene than we are on writing our own music, it's much less of a threat to us because it's going to be a while before robots will provide as scintillating a live show as human beings can. I mean, I hope that will never happen. So whatever happens to recorded music and to apps like Suno where people can go in and write a prompt and then they've got their own album of songs, whatever happens there, the live music scene still needs people. And there's ABBA Voyage and holograms, and apparently that's amazing. But people, they want to come and see sweating human beings on a stage, and it's events like Shamrocks that kind of sum up that whole kind of grassroots live music. That's people in a field, making noises. And I think in many ways, as much as I think AI is an interesting development, and you can't ignore it, there is something so special about the kind of grassroots festival scene in the UK and how it's standing against
Live festivals exploding. There's all kinds of festivals all
yeah,
through the UK and literally all through the world. And as much as, like people say, oh, why should I go to a football match? I can watch it at home and go there, get the refrigerator. But there's nothing like being at a game itself.
yeah,
And with all the synergy that goes through there.
yeah.
And that won't change. Music it really enhances that feeling.
Yes, I have this memory from when I was about 7 or 8 of going to a football match, and my team scored a goal, and I was sat next to a complete stranger, this like 40-year-old man, and we just turned around and like hugged each other. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, like that's like a strange thing to have happened, but we were brought complete. We hadn't said a word to each other, but we were like brought together by this live experience and by this thing that was joining us together. And that's really what a festival is bringing people who are disparate and who haven't necessarily met together in this one space. So yes.
Don't you love it when you're on the stage and you look at the people there that you're playing for and you seeing them dancing and you're seeing them having a good time? That says, yes, that's why I'm up here on the
Yeah,
stage, right?
if you could bottle that feeling and sell it, you make some money. And actually, in Hype Club, so I'm a piano player by trade. That's what I have always been traditionally in the band. But part of what we do with Hype Club is move away from that sort of more pop rock side to the kind of EDM dance rave kind of sound, and so we don't need pianos anymore. So I have been sort of freed from stuck behind the piano, and I'm now the hype man. So my job primarily is to connect with the crowd. I have a guitar, I play some synth riffs, but I'm mainly just running around, looking, straight into the whites of the eyes of the people in the crowd. And I love that. Like it is like a drug. I know it's a cliche to say that, but when you get a good festival with a good crowd and a good feeling off them, that's pretty hard to beat as a feeling.
You're missing one element in there. The one element is if you're good.
Well, yes.
Because if there has been times where you've been up there and okay, let's say comedians, or I do a lot of workshops of public speaking, and you can
Yeah.
see somebody up there and it's like nobody's moving, and you go, they're not, they don't have all their skills together yet.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't happen to us at Shamrocks, but
No, I'm not worried. No, but you constantly are learning. Every time you go someplace, don't you learn something new?
yeah, that's so true. And in many ways, the Hype Club came from a place where we said, look, there's lots that we know about music. We've been doing this for a long time. But let's not just go, well, we'll just settle in and do the same thing for the next 20 years. Let's challenge ourselves and test, like I say, what we know and try some things and go, okay, that really worked, but that didn't work so well. And because if you're not constantly evolving as an artist, I think eventually you forget why you're doing it. And So for us, the Hype Club is kind of it's like it's trying to what's the right way of phrasing this? We're trying to re-engage our spirit of adventure and go. We became musicians because we wanted to have adventures, and so far it's having to deliver that. It's bringing us to new places like Shamrocks and to new audiences. So yeah.
Well, we're going to give you a little bit of a break because I got a whole bunch more questions to ask you.
Fabulous.
But once again, we were actually talking about different influences, like musical influence you have. And one of them is David Getty. And so we're going to be playing a song called, and this is with a person that I really enjoy, who's Usher.
Yeah.
And we're going to play Without You.
Fantastic.
Now, why do you like David Getty? What part of his music do you enjoy?
Well, funnily enough, this Without You, this song, which was actually initially you suggested it, is in our set. And I think the reason that David Guetta is a significant artist for Hype Club is that he, in the last kind of 15 years, has kind of defined what an international DJ is. And he has, again, a bit like with Fatboy Slim, but in a more modern sense, he has bridged the gap between kind of underground club culture and mainstream pop. So he does a lot of these collaborations with artists like Usher and Rihanna and Sia with Titanium, and he's bringing together those two worlds to the point now where people don't think of them as separate, whereas I think 30 years ago there was club culture and then there was mainstream pop, and David Guetta, among others, has gone, no, let's bring those two things together, which mirrors for me what we're doing with Hype Club, where we're trying to cross over two separate music worlds.
Well, we're going to be listening to Without You.
I can't win, I can't reign, I will never win this game without you, without you, without you, without you, without you, without you. I am lost, I am vain, I will never be the same without you, without you, without you, without you, without you. I won't run, I won't fly, I will never make it by without you, without you. I can't rest, I can't fight, all I need is you and I without you, can't erase, so I'll take blame, but I can't accept that we're estranged without you, without you. I can't quit now, this can't be right, I can't take one more sleepless night without you, without you. I won't soar, I won't climb, if you're not here I'm paralyzed without you, without you. am vain. I will never be the same without you. Without you, without you, without you.
Now, Chris, we just heard this song, Without You. Well, I know that you've got a little girl in your life.
Yes.
Tell us about the little one and then tell us about her wonderful mother. So,
Yes.
first thing is, like, how old is your daughter and what is her name?
So Margot is 12 weeks old today. Yeah, and I mean, you know this, you have some experience in this area, but it's amazing. It's a wild ride, and I'm loving it. And it obviously changes everything, but at the same time, it makes you appreciate everything about your life that you feel you've got right. And in the context of the band, pretty much all of us have kids now, and our kids are starting to come to the gigs and even come along to be roadies. And um, for us, the hype club now it's a family affair, really. It's a kind of lifestyle band, and that wouldn't happen if we didn't have the support of our other halves. As you've sort of alluded to, it's not easy being married to a musician. Um, my wife is in the army. She is a lieutenant colonel, and she also works for the air ambulance. So she sort of leaps out of helicopters. So people say, like, you're in a band, but your wife is the rock star in your marriage, which is never a truer word was said. So I know my place. But what we found is keeping a band together this long is partly finding a way to make sure that everyone's families can function around the band, or really the other way around, because life throws a lot at you. And we're always trying to look forward and go, if we want this band to still be together in 5 years and 10 years, we need to make sure that the wives and the kids are all on board and happy, and that we're not taking advantage of their generosity of spirit. So yeah, so I'm very lucky to have the support of both my girls now.
So, I'm assuming that your wife was what now, my daughter met her husband and they've been married for 20 some odd years too, and he's a regional musician, and she used to go to all of his gigs and that type of stuff like this. Nowadays, I go, "Do you go see his gigs anywhere?" She goes, "Mom, I'm so past that." So is your wife so past that at the moment, or where she gets a little bit of time to herself because you're not there?
That's really funny. It's yes, all the sort of our other halves have this kind of running joke that there's a honeymoon period at the beginning where you're all starry-eyed about the band, but that wears off fairly quickly. You get into the kind of eye rolling phase where it's like, oh, our husbands and their band. Um, but they're all really supportive, and whenever we can, we get together, we get the families together, and we've done lots of actually private gigs for our other halves, families and friends. So we're kind of the band is woven into our lives in all these different ways, and that's just something we do to kind of help keep it all together, because you can't function as an island. You have to be all connected. As life goes on and it gets more complicated.
Now, saying that, it's like a lot of people wish that they could be self sufficient in the field that they enjoy. Okay. So, are you self sufficient as a musician, or do you have something? Because you were talking about AI. Some people, a lot of people I know that are musicians are also in computers, which kind of makes sense, but that's my
Yes.
own theory.
I mean, yes. So our George, who's the guy I started the band with, the lead singer, he is also a graphic designer. He became a designer because he designed our original website back in the early 2000s, and then because he created this skill for us, he then turned that into a sort of side hustle, as it were. So most of us have our fingers in a few different pies.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm also a writer. Our bass player is a doctor of philosophy. Um, but some of us, I do a little bit of music teaching as well. you'll know that the life of a creative often involves having quite a lot of plate spinning, which I actually really love. It's the reality, I think, for most people in this kind of creative field. So for us, the secret of staying together this long is finding a way to make sure that everyone gets what they need from the band, but that it's constantly moving on, and we managed to make it work.
Do you kind of like block out different times that it's just for family members? Like, so a lot of people that are in bands, they do summer gigs, which you're talking about the festivals and things like this. But like during the months of October, November, they kind of like do their own things, be with their family, do the holidays. Do you do that purposely or as it comes along?
To a degree, and we let members block out time if they need to, and we just try to be aware of it as aware as we can be. It's difficult because, of course, when you're in a band, often the times when you're busiest are, like you say, a weekend or the Christmas season, and so it can be a bit of an antisocial job.
Yeah.
But we just try and stay ahead of it and try and be mindful that this band isn't just the six of us. It's the six of us plus our other halves and our children and our families and our friends, and we need their support to kind of keep it going. But yeah, we're at a stage now where we've been doing it for such a long time that it's kind of it's more than the sum of its parts.
Mm. Yeah. So you're able to work together. Now we're going to get back to Shamrocks because that is going to be in another month. Shamrocks is going to be for 3 days. It is in the middle of May. So it's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Which day are you going to be playing at? Or are you going to be playing all 3 days?
We are playing Saturday night at 7:20. So we're basically the last act before the headliners. So the Red Hot Chili Peppers are headlining on Saturday, and we are playing the slot just before them.
Excellent, excellent. Now, if anybody is listening to us and they want to go, because you've been listening to my show, The Road to Sham Rocks 2026, is a lot of really excellent entertainers. We've been hearing music from them or their style of music and whatever their entertainment they're doing. If anybody is interested in it, feel free. Use your favorite Google browser, whatever you want to do. Smoke signals, I don't care, whatever it works. But go Shamrocks 2026 to get tickets to go down there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've already been promised by Clive that it's not going to rain. I don't know how he's got those powers, but he said that, so I'm going to take him on his word.
Best not to delve too deep into how Clive does the things that he does, but I have no doubt that he has spoken to the right people.
Well, I went down there last year, and the weather has been a little bit on the windy side, so some of our radio equipment was floating around a little bit, but outside of that, it was dry, which is always a thumbs up. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So, and then this year they're having 3 stages instead of 2. So that's the one good thing that I like about. So there's going to be music going on regardless of where you're at, and plus it's what I really like about the Shamrocks. It is definitely family friendly. So they have things in there like the princesses and the different booths and things for every member of the family. So you can go down there and just have a really good time.
But we've actually found with Hype Club at the festivals we've done so far that it really appeals to a wide range of ages, because we have some classic stuff in there. We have the 90s, the Fatboy Slim and all that kind of stuff. But we also have quite fresh, modern sort of club hits. So we found actually that, if you've got 13-year-old kids, they're going to love it because it feels relevant to them, but there's something in there for the parents too. We try and bring in as wide a range of people as we can. We're really all about connecting with every last person we possibly can from that stage. So I think hopefully a family friendly festival like that's going to be a good fit for us.
The funny part about it is you may be listening to something like, I remember, once again, I'm dating myself, but I remember when the Rolling Stones came out and that was really the big thing. Then after got married, that type of stuff, and he had my young son. And then my youngest son goes, Mom, there's this really cool band you need to hear. I go, oh, yeah, what is it? He goes, it's the Rolling Stones. I go, okay. What goes around comes around again. Constant reinvention.
It's amazing, actually, that kids these days have so much access to music they're less tied to an era than we were when we were kids. I was doing an event in a school recently, as in my other life as a novelist, because I've written some books for teens, and I talk in my school visits about Bon Jovi because we were really into them when we started a band. They were kind of the reason we started a band. And I thought, oh, these kids are 12. They're not going to know Bon Jovi. First of all, they all know Bon Jovi. They all know the songs. But there was this one girl who was she was a super fan. She said they're my favorite band, and I said, oh, well, your parents must love them. She went, nope, just me. I just decided I love. And she was a kid. I was like, okay, well, I think they're less tied to eras than we were because they have access to everything.
Oh, lesson 101 of being a parent. Whatever you like, you can guarantee your kids won't.
Yes, this is really true. So you have to be cunning about it.
I have learned that.
I'll look forward to that. Right now, she's malleable, but yeah, we don't have long.
12 weeks, fine. Give her 10 years from now. We'll come back and talk again.
That's what my mother-in-law has said. She said, just you wait till she turns 15. You'll be in trouble then.
Chris, I have so enjoyed talking to you, but we're getting to the end of the show. Now, keep in mind, you are being recorded. We've already talked about this before, so this is not a surprise to you. So I'm going to ask you a question, and your answer is going to be recorded.
Okay.
Chris, would you come back on my show again?
I'd love to.
I have had such a great time talking to you.
Me too.
It's like, we could talk for even longer, but the people after me actually want their slot. So I guess I'm going to have to give it up to them. But Chris, you're part of the band, Hype Club.
Hype Club.
Check it out you can check it out. They've got it on your website. You've got a couple of little different things going. And especially come down and visit us at Sham Rocks. And want any details about it? Feel free to contact me. We're doing our last song. So wake me up. Tell me, why do you like this song?
So Avicii is
the band.
Yeah, well, Avicii's, God rest his soul, was such a huge artist in the 2010s, bringing again club culture together with sort of more mainstream pop music. And this song in particular, which is called "Wake Me Up," which you will all know. This song it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's sort of a country folk song and a massive club banger at the same time, which no one had really done before. It was like Mumford & Sons and David Guetta, and it changed everything. And for us, when we were thinking about how do you create this hybrid set where you've got live music on the one hand and the DJ culture on the other, and Wake Me Up is a great blueprint for that. Our set, the Hype Club set, is full of Avicii. Some of his big hits and some of his more interesting deep cuts. It's all in there. He's really important. But this song really sums up how in the last 15 years or so, those two worlds have come together.
It's a perfect way to end this show. Chris, thank you so much for being my guest. And here we go.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Well, life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. So that's fine by me. So wake me up